In this video, we'll be looking at some language that is essential if you're going to be taking trigonometry. So we're going to look at the terms that you see listed on the left side of the page. And we're going to start off with something that may be pretty familiar, the degree. So we're going to look at what a degree actually is. So the best way I can describe it, let's say if you were in the middle of a room. So this is the middle of the room. And this is you, this is your head. We're looking at your head from the top. And your eyes are facing this way. So your eye looks like a little, there we go. That's your eye, well, your eyelashes. And you're looking that way. So you are standing here and then you turn. As you turn, you're turning through an angle. So you're turning and you're turning and you're turning and you're turning, and then all of a sudden you're facing that direction again. So that full rotation is 360 degrees. One full rotation is 360 degrees. So going all the way around until you come back to where you start. And 103 and 1 out of 360, so 1/360th of that is a degree. So this little portion right here, so let's say if we could fit 360 of those into that full rotation, that is 1 degree. So when I mention a degree, that's what I'm referring to, a small fraction, 1 out of 360 of a full rotation. So we just spoke about what a degree is, so we're done with that. Now let's talk about what the initial side of an angle is. So going back to our room where we're standing, that's our little head right here from the top when we're still, let's say we're not looking that way anymore, the way we were looking before to the right. Let's say we start off, and when we start off, we're looking in this direction. So that's our little eye with our little eyelash. If we're initially looking in this direction, then our initial side is that line. So our initial side is the side at which the angle begins its rotation. So we can write that down. The initial side is where the angle begins its rotation. All right, so that's the initial side. That's the initial side, so now we know what that is. All right, so now we know what the degree is, what the initial side is. Now it's time to look at what our standard position is. So here we are again in the room, in the center of the room with our little head, and we're looking again here. So that is our eye, or lashes here. There we go, little eye. And if our initial side is in line with an x-axis, so this is actually, notice our room has been in a coordinate plane, I just didn't tell you before. So if that's our x-axis, that's our y-axis. If our initial side, where we're initially looking, where our rotation begins, is lining up with our x-axis, then it is said, or angle is said to be in standard position. So standard position just means our angle rotation is starting at the x-axis. So angle rotation or initial side is at the x-axis. All right, so that is what our standard position means. When an angle starts there, where you see this red line, at the x-axis. All right, let's keep going. All right, so we know what degree is, what initial side is, and what standard position is. So let's talk about what a positive and negative angle is together. Let's talk about what they are together. So we have our coordinate plane here, and we have an angle with initial side here in standard position, and let's say we go this way up to 90 degrees and it stops there. Well, that is a 90-degree angle. I'm sure all of you would agree. However, if I go in this direction, it is no longer considered a 90-degree angle because we went 90, 180, 270. We went 270 degrees. But going clockwise, our angle is negative. Going counterclockwise, our angle is positive. So a positive angle is counterclockwise from its initial side. And a negative angle is clockwise from its initial side. All right, so let's look at another one just to make sure that we are used to this one here. Let's see, let's put it up here. This angle, let's make it start at the initial position, the standard position, and go up here. So it's a little bit over 90, so let's say that it is 110 degrees. It's 110, a positive 110, because it is going counterclockwise. But if I went the other direction, it would be 360 minus 110. Therefore, it would be 250 degrees, but negative because it is going counterclockwise. All right, so that's how positive and negative angles work. So we've looked at degree, initial side, standard position, and we've looked at positive and negative angles. All right, we also actually have looked at the terminal side, but we just didn't name it before. So let's put this coordinate plane back into position. And here is our initial side. It's in standard position because it's in line with our x-axis. And we just looked at that angle here, which was 110 degrees. This side, so let me highlight it in blue here. This line here where our angle ends is called the terminal side. Which kind of makes sense because the red one right here is the initial side. So the angle has to start and it has to end. Okay, so we now know that 110 degrees, that's positive, or the negative 250 degrees are the same. So I'm actually going to define the next thing using that point. All right, so now we know what terminal side is. Let's talk about coterminal. Because 110 degrees and negative 150 degrees have the same terminal side, you got it. That means that they are coterminal. Makes sense, right? All right. But a lot of things are coterminal with 110 degrees, not just negative 250 degrees. So let's look at it on the other page where we have some space. So we already know that 110 degrees, which is like here, is coterminal with negative 250 degrees. But what else is it coterminal with? Well, we totally can go a full revolution and then keep going until we end up at the same terminal side. So we went 360, full revolution, plus 110, and that gives us 450 degrees. So in addition to being coterminal with negative 250, it is also coterminal with 450 degrees. We could go again if we wanted to. We could add another 360 degrees, we could add another 360 degrees, we could add infinitely many 360 degrees, infinitely many full revolutions, until we keep ending back up here at our terminal side here. So that's how coterminal angles work. And that's just an introduction. So now that we know these terms, we're going to be able to use them in the future.